Alright, in this problem I have graph y equals 2 cosecant parentheses x plus 4. Class, what's the first thing we should do?
Turn it to sine.
So some of you guys said take the reciprocal, so 2 times sine of x plus pi over 4. Now some of you guys are actually just taking the numbers and then just taking the reciprocal later. That's fine. But the way that I'm doing it, you're like, I don't understand you, Mr. Rain. Just keep doing what I'm doing here. So we just took the reciprocal. What's the next thing? Let's identify them. Remember, if you're stuck here, you might want to rewrite the equation. Y equals 2 times sine x minus negative pi over 4. Now, my middle of the road student, you should be doing this. The A student already sees it. They don't have to. And I can just write the letters. Y equals, that's not a letter, A sine B x minus C. Plus C, but we don't have one, right? So, boys, what is my A value?
2.
What does that tell you? Do we need the amplitude for this problem?
Yeah.
Girls, B value. So there's a 1 here. Girls, what does the B value tell you? What is the equation for the period, girls? Girls, a lot of students are writing just pi over B. Girls, which two trig ratios is that? Cotangent and tangent. So our period for this problem, girls, is 2 pi. Girls, our C value. Yeah, that's why I rewrite it, so you both can see that the negative is not included. Girls, which direction is it being shifted? So negative would be left pi over 4. If you're following my trick, boys, what's the silly phrase? Add to
West.
x go west, which is left. So this is telling you left pi over 4. And boys, D value?
0.
So that, what does that mean?
No vertical shift.
No vertical shift. Boys, what's the next thing? Some of you don't know this. This is called a ruler. That helps you draw straight lines. After class today, remind me those who signed up for calculus. I was the one who wrote recommendations for you or not. I will tell you what I wrote. Don't take it personally. Class, what should I write here? This is where some students are getting stuck. The student on the last quiz who got 2 out of 4 got all of this correct, but they don't know what to write here. So something that we're missing is the inequality. So you're asking, what do I put? What is the inequality? Well, it's your period, 0 to 2 pi. The question is, what do you put in there, class? Everything to the right. X plus pi over 4. So if I subtract pi over 4 in all of these, 2 pi is equal to what? What's an equivalent fraction?
8 pi over 4.
8 pi over 4. So that gives you negative pi over 4 to 8 minus 1 is 7 pi over 4. So if I put negative pi over 4 here and 7 pi over 4, the distance between this is 8 pi over 4, which is 2 pi. So here, this is just telling me how long. This tells me start and end. Now I'm going to find what? 5x values. Negative 1 plus 7.
That's 6.
Divided by 2?
3.
Negative 1 plus 3
2.
divided by 2.
1.
3 plus 7 divided by 2.
5.
Notice how you're just counting by 2's. 2 pi's over 4, just pi over 4. Another neat, yeah, that's fine. So I have my 5x values. Let's go ahead and write those down. Partner B tell partner A, what do I do to this x value now?
Add pi over 4.
So now what do you do? Yeah, you're adding pi over 4. I want to take a moment to, I was thinking about algebraically to help you. The question I think some students struggle is, what do I do next? The easy one I just said was, probably doesn't make really much sense, but just going from right to left. Making sure your d value is over here. Here's a better question. Why does this work? Let's just say I change this. I'm going to take out the trig function. I'm going to take out pi, so it's not as confusing to you. So if I said y equals 2 times x plus 4. And let's just say I'm making a table of values, right? And let's just say I say negative 1. What would you do with that negative 1?
Add 4.
You would substitute it, right? And then what would you do? Multiply by 2 or add 4?
Add 4.
How do you know that?
Parentheses.
The parentheses, which comes from the PEMDAS, the order of operations. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to connect it to something you already know. So if I add pi over 4 to each of those, boys, what do I get?
0. Pi over 2. 5. 3 pi over 2. 2 pi.
Everyone say golden row.
Golden row.
I call it the golden row because those are the quadrantal angles you're looking for. So let's just say you're stuck. Okay? Let's just say you don't get this golden row for sine. That means stop, go back, and look at your 5x values. Something's wrong. Think harder. Try again. Erase. Think. Consider. Reflect. Revise. Partner B tell partner A, what do you do after this?
Yeah.
Rebel, what do we do? We did x values. We added pi over 4. Sine of x. Sine of these values. Rebel, what is sine at 0? Pi over 2? In your excitement in doing math, on your quizzes, some students would write 1, 0, negative 1, 0, 1. A and B students are doing that. So just go slow. I know you're excited. You're like, I know what I'm doing here at this point. Go slow. Think. Class, what should we do next?
1 divided by.
Now we're going to multiply by 2. Actually, the hardest one is actually the d value. So let's just say I change the problem to be 4 minus. This would be multiplying by negative 2, and then you're adding 4. You might be asking why you're adding 4, because if you put it over here, that'd be like a plus 4. Does that make sense? So now we're just going to double all of those values. Class, what do you get?
0.
We're going to graph it using, stare at someone in this room who doesn't use a pencil. Give them the look. Now, I'm going to identify my y-axis. It's between a negative and positive number. I'm looking ahead, I see 2 and negative 2's. So now I'm going to graph at negative pi over 4, 0, 2, 0, negative 2, and 0. Class, what did we just graph? We graphed the trig function sine. Now I want to pause here for a second because a lot of you guys aren't even understanding all your puzzle pieces. No vertical shift. It's not moved up or down. It's pushed off the origin by pi over 4, left pi over 4. It has a period of 2 pi. And the amplitude that we used has a height, a maximum of 2 and a minimum of negative 2. What do we do next, class? At the x-intercepts, what do you do? Asymptote. Kind of messy. Remember, I already explained to you guys, it's basically taking the reciprocal and you recognize that it becomes undefined. And then pick your favorite color. Step 7. Above and below. Class, how many periods did I graph? 1. Yeah, this is really 1 period, 2 over 2 pi. And then lastly, we just have to what? Erase. Go back and use a nice eraser. Yes?
Wouldn't cosecant be 1 over sine values? So if it would be 1 over 2, wouldn't it be 1/2?
The answer to that is it's 2 times that value. So the new, it's still in the new.
Okay, so you're when you're doing the cosecant reciprocal, you're still multiplying that.
Josh said it's when you substitute in cosecant as 1 over sine, the 2 is still in the numerator. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Clarify any questions your partner has?